He has already logged in. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This time is very auspicious because 7th is the appearance day, auspicious appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and today's 5th evening. And we are discussing the desired tree of devotional service. With your kind blessings, with a short notice, you agreed to lecture on this topic, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And by this time, Vishnu Prabhu, please give the brief introduction with the short.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Vishnu Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. His Grace Sarva-drik was fortunate to join Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON in July of 1973 in Portland, Oregon, when he was 20 years old. Since then, Prabhu has served in many capacities, mostly in Denver ISKCON as Vice President, Head Pujari, Head Cook, New Bhakta Leader, and Congregational Preacher. He and his wife, Sudevi Devi Dasi, moved to Prabhupada Village, North Carolina in 2009. They traveled throughout North Carolina and Virginia for Bhakti-vriksha and prison preaching. In November 2018, they moved permanently to Mayapur, India. Prabhu still travels as much as possible to ISKCON temples, Bhakti-vriksha groups, BACE groups, and devotee homes in the Delhi area, UP and Haryana, and adjoining preaching fields. Prabhu is very inspired to see the exceptional young devotees that have come forward to serve Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON and push on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. We once again welcome Prabhu and we request Prabhu to kindly continue with the lecture.
And to begin, Prabhuji, we just recite from Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Binda. So please proceed, Prabhuji. This is the 9th chapter of Adi-lila, the desired tree of devotional service.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. First, let us begin by offering our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Pray for his mercy and the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pujari Devishesha Shindavadi Paschatya Deshitana Hey Guru Jnanadadina Bandhu Swanandadata Puranaika Sindhu Vrindavanasi Nahitavatara Prasida Radha Pranaya Pujara Nama Shishta Manumati Sachiputra Matra Sarupam Rupam Tasya Gujamurapuri Matarim Goshtavadi Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Vitoshri Tam Gopika Vishrave Stanayanti Kesi Sevadikarini Purani Chapara Padme Dasyam Pradaya Gurumam Vajakanane Shri Radham Grishe Gunarase Sukinim Sukandram Radha Sammukha Sangsakting Sati Sangani Vasanim Tamaham Satadam Vande Madhavashraya Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghubho Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Nanta Bhutashayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityananda Maham Nami Sarvananda Karam Param Harinam Pranam Devam Avadhuta Shivam Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya Te Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gora Hiradhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sudhiri Pranamami Haripuri Vrindaye Tulsi Vidyaye Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavate Namo Namaha Pancha Kalpatu Pustakrupa Sindhu Deva Chapati Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So thank you Jivanuga Prabhu for the opportunity to try and speak something about this wonderful 9th chapter Adi-lila. It's a very short chapter, but many profound things and beautiful purports that Srila Prabhupada has written. So we can go through it and highlight some of the things, important instructions that we received from Srila Prabhupada. The chapter starts out with this verse, Tam Srimad Krishna Chaitanya.
Prabhuji, if you need screen sharing, Vishnu Prabhu will help it. So you just refer to the slok number, Vishnu Prabhu will share the screen. So which slok you are referring? First number, first verse, Prabhuji?
It's just the opening verse.
Yeah, Vishnu Prabhu, 9
That's
chapter.
okay.
Prabhu, you're not able to share the screen, is it?
Yeah, Vishnu Prabhu will share that.
Prabhu,
Vishnu Prabhu.
I'm joining by mobile, Prabhu. I don't have a screen sharing actually.
Yes,
I can share.
Prabhuji,
Yes. You can
no
share.
problem.
You can share, yes.
Tam
Yeah,
Srimad
Vishnu
Krishna
Prabhu.
Chaitanya Devam Bande Jagat Gurum Yasyanukampaya Swapi Mahabhutim Santarat Sukham. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master of the entire world, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a dog can swim across a great ocean. Prabhupada writes in the purport something very important. He says here, sometimes it is to be seen that a dog can swim in the water for a few yards and then come back to the shore. Here, however, it is stated that if a dog is blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can swim across an ocean. Similarly, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, placing himself in a helpless condition, states that although he has no personal power, by the desire of Lord Chaitanya, expressed through the Vaishnavas and the Madan Mohan Vigraha, it is possible for him to cross a transcendental ocean to present Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta. This is a very, very important point. Remember that Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami was in his 90s. In other places in the book, he writes how he can hardly write, his body is shaking, his health is gone, he's near to the time he has to depart this world. But by the desire of Lord Chaitanya, expressed to the Vaishnavas, this is a very important phrase, by the desire of Lord Chaitanya, that is expressed through the Vaishnavas. How do we understand Lord Chaitanya? Can you talk to him? Okay, Lord Chaitanya, this is what I like to do. Can we have that conversation with Lord Chaitanya? We can't. We're neophyte devotees. It's possible. Srila Prabhupada would speak directly with the deity. He would speak directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, present within his own heart. But as neophyte devotees, we can't have that conversation. So how do we understand it? Through the Vaishnavas, expressed through the Vaishnavas and the Madan Mohan Vigraha, the deity of Madan Mohan, who is the deity for the Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, and Gopinath. So if one can't speak to the deity or to the super soul within his heart, when we become confused about our duty in life, which way to go, because this is life. Sometimes in life we find apparent blockages to our progress or confusion, which way to go, which ashram to take, which job to take, where to live. Many questions come in life, and those questions are often answered, can be answered in association with Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada told my godbrother Arjun Prabhu, he said, I will come to you in your dreams, and I will come to you through the instruction of other devotees. So that can be a very powerful thing, to get blessing of other devotees helping us, because what they speak to us sometimes can be very profound. In my own life, we would come to the temple to see Deena Bandhu Prabhu, because we thought this is the nicest guy we ever met. And he'd tell us story. He never judged us. He would tell us stories about Krishna and how he became a devotee. Then one day, he wasn't there, but his wife, Akuti Mataji, served us prasadam, like up to the neck. Gornitai Mahaprasad. Then my friend, who also ended up joining, said to me, okay, let's go. And she said to me one sentence, why are you going? And she didn't say it pointedly. She said, why are you going? And I thought to myself, why am I going? These people are wonderful. This philosophy is wonderful. Food is wonderful. Everything's wonderful. I'm staying. I went back, got my stuff, and pretty much in a few days, I moved into the temple. So just the point is that one small sentence can be very profound, coming from the mouth of a devotee who's inspired by the Lord in his heart to bless you. So Krishna Das Kaviraj is Prabhupada saying here that Krishna Das Kaviraj is in a helpless condition, He has no personal power. But the desire of Lord Chaitanya is expressed through the Vaishnavas and the Madan Mohan Vigraha. A very important thing. So in text 5 says this, by the mercy of all these Vaishnavas and Gurus that I attempt to write about the pastimes and qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whether I know it or not, it is for self-purification that I write this book. Prabhupada writes a very powerful purport. This is the sum and substance of transcendental writing. One must be an authorized Vaishnava, humble and pure. One should write transcendental literatures to purify oneself, not for credit. By writing about the pastimes of the Lord, one associates with the Lord directly. One should not ambitiously think, I shall become a great author. I shall be celebrated as a writer, quote unquote. These are material desires. One should attempt to write for self-purification. It may be published or it may not be published, but it does not matter. If one is actually sincere in writing, all his ambitions will be fulfilled. Whether one is known as a great author is incidental. One should not attempt to write transcendental literature for material name and fame. So this principle, we can expand on this principle. This applies to everything we do in Krishna consciousness. If we remove the principle of becoming an author and we supplant that with kirtan leader, book distributor, temple president, businessman, the same principle holds true. We should perform our duty not with the intention of becoming famous, becoming well-known, becoming prosperous, becoming a great personality in society, as Prabhupada writes here, for material name and fame. That none of that matters. We should write, we should serve in any capacity as a Pujari, a kirtan leader, a preacher, a temple president, a business, whatever capacity. We should do that simply to make progress in spiritual life and please Krishna. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. Yat karosha yarashasi yashtahosi dasi yat tapasyasi konteya vat kurishva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whenever you eat or offer, give away, whatever austerities you perform, mad kurushva madarpanam. Madarpanam means offer to me. We work simply for the purification of our existence, doing some kind of service. The service itself is not significant because they're all the same. Srila Prabhupada said one time that the person washing the floor and the person offering the arati, same. They get the same benefit. It's not that because he's second initiated, he's standing in front of the deity and he's offering arati or dressing the deity or bathing the deity, personal deity service. We can think, oh, he's so fortunate and all I get to do is wash the floor? No, Prabhupada said, same benefit. Another time he said, if the Pujari is offering a flower to the lotus feet of the Lord and there's an insect on that flower and the Pujari puts the flower on the lotus feet of the Lord and that insect kisses the lotus feet of Krishna, he is as good as the Pujari. So no discrimination. Mam hipartavya pashyatya ye pisu papa yoneya striyo vaishyastatal shudras tepi yanti paramgati. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, whoever takes shelter of him in any circumstance of life, social, economic, educational, doesn't matter. Whoever takes shelter of him, tepi yanti paramgati. He goes back to Godhead. So this instruction, although it's given specifically to a person who is writing transcendental literature, it applies to every aspect of devotional service. Now, in this chapter of Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord is describing a transcendental tree of devotional service. He's making an analogy between a tree and all the divine personalities that came with Lord Chaitanya to expand the sankirtan movement. This is the external manifestation of Lord Chaitanya's desire. He came to this world called by Advaita Acharya right here in his Advaita Bhavan. And there's Advaita Bhavan in Shantipur, his home. And when he would come here to Mayapur to participate in the nocturnal kirtan at Sri Vasangan, he had his place also. So there's a small temple there also with the Murti of Advaita Acharya worshiping Shalagram Shila. So we worship Shalagram with Tulsi and Ganga to call Mahaprabhu to this world And this tree of devotional service describes all these transcendental personalities, the associates and servitors of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's not a tree per se, but you're giving this analogy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the trunk of the tree, and he's the gardener who's nourishing and producing the fruits of the tree. Because every tree in this world, it also produces flowers, and in due course of time, it produces fruits. Like here in Mayapur, all the mango trees are in full bloom, covered with blossoms. We're probably going to have a bumper crop of mangoes this year, which is relief. Last year, many trees didn't give one mango. So the tree produces flowers, and ultimately it produces fruits. What is that fruit? Prema phal, the fruit of love of God. And these different branches are producing fruit of love of God. The personalities that are described in this chapter are producing this tasty fruit of love of God. And how people can, the population, Mahaprabhu's objective is that the population, that the masses of people taste this fruit of love of God that is distributed by all the different branches of the tree. Now, Srila Prabhupada also comments in one purport that ISKCON is a branch of that tree. I was thinking about it, and I thought, is it just ISKCON? No, it's Prabhupada who's actually the branch of the tree. But in his humility, he's saying the ISKCON society is a branch of the tree. But who is the irreplaceable personality that makes ISKCON what is ISKCON? Is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a branch of Chaitanya's tree, along with Nityananda, Advaita, all the great devotees that are described in this. So I want to read, to give you some idea, text 8 through 14. Quote, Lord Chaitanya thought, my name is Vishwambar, one who maintains the entire universe. Its meaning will be actualized if I can fill the whole universe with love of Godhead. Thinking in this way, he accepted the duty of a planter and began to grow a garden in Navadvip. Thus the Lord brought the desired tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will. All glories to Sri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service unto Krishna. He is the desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. The seed of devotional service next fructified in the form of Sri Ishwar Puri, and then the gardener himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the tree of devotional service. So this is an important thing. Madhavendra Puri first manifests the symptoms of ecstatic love of God in Madhurya Rasa. But this was unknown in any Vaishnava Sampradaya before. In Madhva Sampradaya, in Ramanuja Sampradaya, they're worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan or Sita Ram, and they do so with all awe and reverence. They're bowing down, they're worshiping. There's no familiarity. There's no intimacy. It's simply Aishwarya, in the mood of Aishwarya, up to the bottom levels of fraternity, of Sakhya Ras. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes in chapter 3, I think, which we also read, that this mood of opulence and honor and worship makes bhakti feeble. It cripples bhakti. Because we see in Radha Krishna Leela, in Krishna's relationship with the gopis, Krishna's relationship with his mother and father, Krishna's relationship with the cowherd boys, there's such a high degree of intimacy. The cowherd boys challenge Krishna. They think, you think you're such a big man. Come on, you and me, I'll show you, I'm stronger than you. They laugh, they joke, they just say, their whole mood is Krishna's just one of the boys. Mother Yashoda is chastising Krishna. The whole world, Yad Bebeti Swayam Bhayam, Bhagavatam says, that fear personified is afraid of Krishna. But Krishna in Leela is afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick. Is it possible in Tattva that God is afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick? Whole fear personified is afraid of him. Is it possible? Impossible. But this is the tasty relationship God shares with his intimate devotees. Gopikas also, they're chastising Krishna. They won't allow Krishna to come into the Kunja. Saying, you're an offender, you're a rascal, you're a cheater, go. They kick him out. And Krishna leaves, brokenhearted. This is the intimacy of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya that is within our grasp in this lifetime. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this thing. We read in the first verses of Chaitanya Charitamrta. Rupa Goswami wrote this verse. Anarpita chirin charad karanaya avatirna kolo samarpayitum unato jalarasam sabhakti shayam hari purata sundara jutika damba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratuva sachinandana. That after a very long time, the Lord himself came to give what no other incarnation has ever given before. And that is this unato jalarasam madhurya rasa swabhakti shayam, his own ecstatic emotional expression of love of God. Give it Krishna, we say, Krishna prema pradayate. Rupa Goswami also wrote this prayer. Krishna prema pradayate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving out love of God by the process of Harinam Sankirtan, which of course is another discussion. So Prabhupada wrote this about Madhavendra Puri, and it was in him that this first ecstatic emotional love of God first manifested. And he prayed, his prayer was Adi-lila darardanath he maturanath kadavalukshaye pradayam tadaloka kataram daiti brahmyati kim karomyaham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved, what shall I do now? Prabhupada quotes, said, in this poem is the seed of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cultivation of love of Godhead. And this is the whole essence of this is our objective. This is why we practice Krishna consciousness, to get love of God, not just to worship him, to bow down to him. This is the process of sadhana. But what is our objective in sadhana? What do we want from that sadhana? What do we expect to achieve by that sadhana? What did Madhavendra Puri show to the world by his activities? Love of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prema Pumartha Mahan. The highest artha is not dharma, artha, kama, moksha, purushartha, but prema purushartha. The objective, our purushartha is prema, love of God. And Madhavendra Puri was, we just observed his appearance day yesterday. Great devotee, many great devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own spiritual master, Ishwar Puri, was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Ramchandra Puri, Pundarik Vidyadhiri, Paramananda Puri, Advaitacharya, many great devotees were his disciples. And there's a very important lila that we should understand between Madhavendra, Ishwar Puri and Ramchandra Puri. Ramchandra Puri was a great critic and fault finder of Vaishnavas. Even he would criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would come into Mahaprabhu's room and he'd see some tiny ants. And he would criticize Mahaprabhu. What kind of sannyasi are you? I can understand because there's ants in your room that you're eating sweets. So Mahaprabhu said, okay, so let me decrease my eating by half. And all the devotees became despondent. Whenever they saw Ramchandra Puri, they would become depressed because he's always negative, criticizing Vaishnavas. And this was his nature. And when Madhavendra Puri was leaving this world and spoke this verse in ecstatic, emotional separation, vipralamba bhava, separation from Krishna, I couldn't get you. I couldn't achieve you. This is the highest expression of love of God, not sambhog, not being with Krishna, but in the ocean of separation of Krishna. Hey Radhe Brajadevike Chalalite Hey Nanda Shuno Kuta. Srinivasacharya said about the six Goswamis. They were always said, where is Krishna? Where is Radharani? Are they in the bank of Jamuna? Are they in Govardhan Hill? Not, I'm with them and I'm happy, but where are they? Burning in the separation of love of God. So this rascal, Ramchandra Puri, said to his guru, "Why are you acting like this? This isn't appropriate for a sannyasi. You should fix your mind on Brahman." Madhavendra Puri said, "Get out. I don't want to see your face. Just leave." And gradually, because of his offense to his guru, because he saw his guru as an ordinary person, because we make progress in spiritual life, how? Only by the grace of Sri Guru. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. We can't make progress without the blessing of Sri Guru. So Ramchandra Puri was cursed by his spiritual master because he saw his spiritual master as an ordinary material man. Why are you crying? Give up this lamentation and fix your mind on Brahman. Madhavendra Puri said, "Get out." But Ishwara Puri served his guru hand and foot, even cleaning up his stool and urine because he was bedridden, serving in such intimate, selfless, humble way. And because of that, he was blessed by his guru and he became the guru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But still, even though this Ramchandra Puri was such a rascal, because he was the guru, the god brother of his guru, he offered him all respect, because this is etiquette. Many things to understand from this Lila. So Madhavendra Puri also, there are many beautiful stories in Caitanya Charitamrta about Madhavendra Puri, how he undertook he was worshipping Gopinath. And Gopinath said, "I'm feeling hot." Gopinath stole kheer for him. Gopal appeared to him in his dream that the Muslims invaded and the Pujaris hid me in the forest bower. So I'm feeling very uncomfortable here. You come dig me up out of this dirt, clean me and worship me. So he made this anukut. One village after another would come and do anukut. They bathed him with 100 liters, 80 liters of water, offered him all delicious types of food stuff. And this deity today is worshipped in Srinathpur. Srinatsi is the actually deity of the Gaudiyas, not of Pushtimar, Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya devotees are in charge now, but historically this deity, discovered by Madhavendra Puri, who appeared in the dream of Madhavendra Puri, was installed by Madhavendra Puri, is the deity of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, worshipped today in Srinath. Beautiful deity, exquisite deity, beautiful, shining, effulgent face. So later, Gopal was saying that I'm feeling very hot. So you please go get sandalwood and camphor, chandan and kapoor. You go get this for me. And he walked, and just by the order of the Lord, he walked all the way to the south. And on his return journey, he stopped at Gopinath temple. And Gopal appeared to him and said, "You just offer this camphor and sandalwood to Gopinath. You don't need to come all the way back to Vrindavan. Just offer this chandan and camphor to me, and my body will be cooled simultaneously." So while he was there, he noticed that they're offering this beautiful, delicious preparation, Gopinath kheer. And in his mind, he thought, I want to taste this. So when I return to my Gopal, I can offer this, I can understand how to make this preparation and offer it to my Gopal. But then he thought, oh, I'm so sinful. See the strength of his mind. Because in his mind, he's thinking, I want to taste it. Oh, but it's not offered to Krishna. How can I taste it? So he just left that place. But Gopinath appeared in the dream of the Pujari, that by my tricks, I've hidden one pot of kheer behind my chadar, behind my dhoti. So you please get up and take this pot of kheer to my pure devotee, Madhavendra Puri, who you'll find staying in the bazaar. So the Pujari woke up very astonished. He took a shower, entered the deity room, and there was the kheer. Now Srila Prabhupada comments that the Pujari was on the same level as Madhavendra Puri. Lord is speaking to him directly, giving him direct service opportunity. So he took that kheer to Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri tasted that kheer. He even broke the pot into small pieces, and he'd eat a piece of that pot every day. So the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri are very, very wonderful. He is the first in our Sampradaya that tasted this prema, love of God, and he's one of the main trunks on the tree of Lord Chaitanya's tree of devotional service. So this is a very important thing for us to remember about chastity to Guru, chastity to Sri Guru, because there's a class of person that tells us what you really need in life is a high-class Rasik Guru. To which I respond that the world has never seen a high-class Rasik Guru as the personality of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Because what do Rasik Gurus do? Do they just sit in a secluded place for their own benefit, chanting japa? What do Rasik Gurus do? They take up the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they distribute it all over the world. They get on a boat with no means of support, no guarantee of support, no friend, no shelter, with a heart condition, and stand in the snow with a light chadar and white rubber slippers and a Prabhupada hat, and try and convince grossly materialistic barbarian people, mlecha people, to take up the highest process of Krishna Bhakti. Prabhupada performed impossible tasks. This is Rasik Guru. Rasik Guru stands in line to use his own bathroom with a bunch of hippies. At 26 2nd Avenue, there's only one bathroom. There is the storefront below, and Prabhupada had his apartment up on the first floor. So that was the only bathroom for all the residents. Everyone used the bathroom. Prabhupada had to stand in line to use his own bathroom. He would cook and clean and serve prasadam for these people who just came to wolf down large amounts of prasadam and maybe they give 25 cents in donation. This is a Rasik Guru who sacrifices, who serves the mission, who is prepared to sacrifice his life for the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should always remember this, that each of us has a personal, unique relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and he's blessing all the members, especially his grandchildren. He's blessing them to take up the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as we understood it from Srila Prabhupada. Very important thing. No need to change anything. We say in America, there's this saying, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. So there's nothing broken about Srila Prabhupada's instructions to us. We should be very chaste to Prabhupada and push on the mission as he presented it to us. And this is the example of how Ishwara Puri got so much mercy from Madhavendra Puri, and Ramchandra Puri was rejected because of his mundane consideration, thinking that his guru was a materialistic person crying in separation from, it's making it an emotional outburst. So I want to read text 26 to 30 also. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. The fruits ripened and became sweet and nectarian. The gardener, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributed them without asking any price. All the wealth in the three worlds could not equal the value of one such nectarian fruit of devotional service. And remember, when he's speaking about the fruit, nectarian fruit of devotional service, what is it? Prema pho, the tasty, life-changing, life-altering experience of love of God. This is being distributed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through this tree. So we should keep that in mind as we read. All the wealth in the three worlds cannot equal the value of one such nectarian fruit of devotional service, not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit and who unfit to receive it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. The transcendental gardener, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributed handful after handful of fruit in all directions. And when the poor, hungry people ate the fruit, the gardener smiled with great pleasure. Who is the gardener? Remember? Lord Chaitanya. So he becomes very happy. He becomes very happy to see the distribution of the fruit of love of God. And what is the process? Distributing books, Harinam, opening temples, classes, college preaching, Bhakti-vriksha, to distribute, to entice people, to entreat people. Please take this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because this is the process of tasting love of God. Because from Krishna Nam, we get Krishna Prem. It's not available in this age in any other way. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is the sum and substance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There is no distinction made between those who are fit and those who are not fit to hear or take part in the Sankirtan movement. It should therefore be preached without discrimination. The only purpose of the preachers of the Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without restriction. That is the way in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the Sankirtan movement to the world. So we should have this mood also. I remember when I was doing the Bhakti program, trying to introduce young devotees to Krishna consciousness, train them how to eat, how to bathe, just the ABCs of spiritual life. One day, one very rough elderly gentleman with a biker jacket, looking like he just got off his motorcycle, hadn't shaved for 3 weeks, came to the temple carrying Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita under his arm. He says, I want to join. So I was hesitant, like, is this guy going to be okay? Is he going to create trouble in the temple? But he turned out to be a great devotee. And he left his body in Krishna consciousness. Perfect life, very auspicious life, and auspicious death. So we should be careful to judge people based on the external appearance. That, oh, this person's like this because they're dressed like that. This person's aristocratic because they're dressed nicely. This isn't the way we look at it. We should, as mentioned here, should be preached without discrimination. Everyone should get the opportunity, regardless of their economic situation, cultural situation, caste, creed, gender. Everyone should get the opportunity for Krishna Bhakti, because this is the mood of Lord Chaitanya. In text 34, he says, I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick and distribute? Srila Prabhupada writes. Here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicates that the distribution of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra should be performed by combined forces. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he laments, how can I act alone? How can I alone pick the fruit and distribute it all over the world? This indicates that all classes of devotees should combine to distribute the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without consideration of time, places. This is ISKCON. We should meditate on this. We should breathe. Our heart should beat with this beat of what is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The distribution of the Hare Krishna mantra, distributed by combined forces. That means that everyone in ISKCON is doing essential service for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not just the preachers. Preachers need to eat. So those devotees that are cooking in the temple, preparing delicious Bhagavad Prasadam that the preachers are eating so they have energy to go out and preach, so that when people come to the temple also, they get some prasadam. Prabhupada said prasadam is our secret weapon. In the old days, Srila Prabhupada used to keep a large glass jar of gulab jamuns on his desk. And sometimes devotees would come in, oh, Srila Prabhupada, I don't know if I can do this. These rules are troublesome. I can't get my japa done. I'm unhappy. Prabhupada, you take gulab jamun. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I feel so much better now. He said prasadam, the ISKCON bullet. Prasadam is our secret weapon. Because this is fully spiritualized. Everyone needs to eat. So eat fully spiritualized, transcendental food stuff that enlivens the self, encourages the Atma, makes us happy in Krishna consciousness. So the devotees are preparing that, and the devotees, the pujaris that are offering to the deity, who are dressing the deity, all are playing essential roles. The person who sweeps the floor, essential role. If the public comes to our temple, the temple's a mess, and there's dirt and dust and trash everywhere, will they be attracted? No. Every role that every devotee plays is essential for spreading Krishna consciousness. So we should never lose sight of that and not develop superiority complex. No, I'm a book distributor, I'm a preacher, I'm giving class, blah, blah, blah. We're simply servant, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasanu Dasa, servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. 100 times removed servant, simply trying to push on Lord Chaitanya's movement in cooperation. Prabhupada mentions that here directly. Combined forces. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying this himself. How can I act alone? How many fruits of love of God can I distribute alone? So many hands make light work. And he is trying to encourage all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you please take up this work of distributing the fruits of love of God. Text 36, therefore I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. Srila Prabhupada writes, oops, to eradicate disillusion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought the Sankirtan movement and he requests everyone to accept and distribute it. A person who is actually a follower of Srila Bhakti-vriksha Thakur must immediately accept the request of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet and thus beg from him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one is fortunate enough to beg from the Lord this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, his life is successful. So in the purport, as I remember, Srila Prabhupada, can you get those lozenges? By the Mridanga. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Bhakti-vriksha Thakur in this beautiful Arunadai Kirtan, this beautiful bhajan, Jeev Jago. Just a moment. So he says, he's begging in this song that to take up this chanting of Krishna's name, Lao Tumi Magi, that you beg, he's begging, please take this name, take this name of Krishna. Bhakti Vinod Kohe. He's saying, just take this name of Krishna, begging for the name of Krishna. I've offered my everything to the holy name of Krishna, and he's begging in this beautiful bhajan to take the name of Krishna. So in text 37, Lord Chaitanya is saying again, I am the only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits alone can I eat? Prabhupada writes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu produced so many fruits of devotional service that they must be distributed all over the world. Otherwise, how can he alone relish and taste each and every fruit? This is the most amazing thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to share this love of God, to give it to the world. And this is our responsibility to do the same thing. Is there any doubt why Srila Prabhupada created such a thing as ISKCON? Typically, institutions create problems because it brings out negative qualities in human being of wanting to lord it over other people, profit, adoration, distinction, pratishta, that I should be in charge, people should respect me. This is why devotees fight, because of pratishta. That why should that person be in charge? Why are they bowing down to him? Why does he have to lead kirtan? Why does he give the class? Why does he get attention? Why does he get the garland? We become envious because we expect to be respected. And because of this, we fight with each other, trying to be in charge, to be the best, to be special. This is all rajagun, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, tamagun. Ignorance because who are we? We're insignificant specks of dust, not even specks of dust, microscopic specks of dust in the creation of God, that we want to be respected and be placed in charge and listen to and bow down to, all bogus. And this is the reason that devotees fight. when we become servants, Gopi Bhartu Parak Dasa Dasa Anudasa, servant of each other, then there can be harmony. But until that happens, then we'll simply fight. So Lord Chaitanya wanted harmony. He wanted everyone to cooperate, to distribute the fruits of love of God. Srila Prabhupada writes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu produced so many fruits of devotional service that they must be distributed all over the world. Otherwise, how can he alone relish and taste each and every fruit? The original reason the Lord Shri Krishna descended as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to understand Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna and to taste that love. The fruits of the tree of devotional service were innumerable, and therefore he wanted to distribute them unrestrictedly to everyone. Srila Rupa Goswami writes, Anarpita chirim chirat karanaya matirna kalo samarpayito padato jalavasam sabakti shriyam hari purata sundara jyoti kadamba sadipita sada hridiya kandare spirituva sachinandana. We spoke about this previously. That this is the external reason for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's coming, to distribute love of God. But he has his own internal reason also. And this, I think, was covered in chapter 4, Lord Chaitanya's internal reason. Shri Radhaya Mahima Kiddishovanayaiva Swadyogen Adbhuta Madhurima Kiddishova Madhya Sokyam Chasya Manunu Bhavata Kiddisham Bheti Lobat Tadbhava Jas Samajani Sachigarma Sindhu Arindu. Krishnadas Kaviraj is writing that Lord Chaitanya appeared just like the moon appears from the ocean. Everyone knows the moon was not born from the ocean. It appears to be born from the ocean. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appeared to be born from the womb of Sachi Mata. And he came externally to distribute love of God. His own personal aspiration was to taste the unique quality of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna, and to taste the qualities in Krishna that she alone relishes, and to experience what is her experience of that love. Three things. Because this is why Shyam Sundar, Supreme Personality of Godhead, becomes Gaur Sundar. Radha Baba Suvalitam, Radha Baba Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupa. He becomes Gaur Sundar to taste these things. This is his own personal, internal motivation to come to this world. And how did he taste it? Nam Sankirtan. He tasted it by Nam Sankirtan and separation from Krishna. Because sugar can't taste itself. There has to be a taster. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to taste what is Krishna, to understand himself. This is most esoteric. In special understanding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Krishna's chanting his own name in the mood of his devotee to understand what his devotee's experience of him. Chanting his own name. Dancing in Sankirtan. Leading Lord Jagannath back to Gundicha. The whole Leela of Jagannath Leela. The whole pastime of Rath Yatra. So Krishna is tasting himself in the mood of his devotee, topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And externally, they're simply distributing love of God through this mood of Sankirtan mission. Text 38 and 39. By the transcendental desire, the Supreme Personality of God and water has been sprinkled all over the tree. And thus there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. Quote, distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. So who is sprinkling? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sprinkling his mercy on this tree. We're all getting sprinkles of mercy from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should reflect on this. That the Supreme Person, we please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by pushing on his Sankirtan movement. We're directly receiving benediction and mercy from God by doing this. Everyone comes to the temple, right? The masjid, the mandir, the gurudwara, synagogue, church, and they pray to God for blessings. If you want blessing, cooperate with Lord Chaitanya. Do something for the Sankirtan movement. And directly, he's sprinkled by his mercy, because it's him, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is making this tree of love of God flourish. And what is it producing? Prema fal, the fruit of love of God. We directly become eligible to get that taste, that love of God, by cooperating with Lord Chaitanya to push on the Sankirtan mission. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Krishna consciousness movement introduced by Lord Chaitanya is extremely important. Extremely important. Take note. Because one who takes to it becomes eternal, being freed from birth, death, and old age. Those who are actually servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must seriously distribute this movement all over the world to render the greatest benefit to human society. This is an important thing. Those who are actually servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When we say actually servants, what is the implication? That there are those persons that are not actually servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what does it mean to be a servant of Lord Chaitanya? It means to participate in this distribution of love of God, to do something useful for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. This is what it means, to actually be a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Someone may give lip service. I'm a devotee. I'm a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if they're not doing anything for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, either individually or in cooperation with other devotees, what is the meaning to calling yourself a Vaishnava? What is the mood of a Vaishnava? How does a Vaishnava feel? Lord Chaitanya, Prahlad Maharaj prayed, Naivo dijait paradoratya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chaita so chaita to vimukha chaita se indriyarta maya sukhaya varamudvahato vimudhan. He prayed that I have no difficulty. I become a Vaishnava. I'll easily cross over the Vaitarani river, leave this material world, and enter the kingdom of God for eternal spiritual happiness and bliss. No problem. But still I have a problem. Soche, vimukha chaitasi indriyarta. My problem is to see the consciousness of foolish persons who are carrying the heavy burden of material life and getting nothing in return, except birth, repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. This is the feeling of a Vaishnava. Haradukka dukhi kripambudhi is full of an ambudhi, an ocean of kripa, of mercy, because he sees people suffering, working hard for what? Sita atapa bhakta varishana idina jamani jagire vipale sevana kripana jorajana chapala sukala malagire. Govinda Das prays. In the freezing winter and the blasting wind, scorching heat, people are working hard for what? Chapala sukala malagire. For some little insignificant sense gratification. And what do they get for the repeated birth and death? This is the saddest thing for a devotee, because his vision is different from the materialistic person. This is the effect of pure devotional service, the effect of our progress in spiritual life, that we should feel compassion. Our heart should bleed to see people working hard for what and not getting anything out of it. Working hard like a donkey, carrying heavy load, and just being beaten by their master and not getting any real fruit. What is the fruit in material life? Okay, here's a paycheck. Here's some money. Will that money help you when the last breath comes? Can you take your bank account with you? Can you show your bank statement to Yamaraj? Can you show your degree? Can you show your wealth, your position in society, your learning? What is it that is helpful when the last breath comes? Only a relationship with God. That's the only thing that can help you at the time of death. So to see people neglecting the real value of life is the most difficult thing. Aho dukam maha dukam dukkha dukkataram yata kachartam vismitam ratna haranamayva kevalam. One great Vaishnava poet wrote, Mahadukam, what is the greatest unhappiness? The greatest unhappiness of all unhappiness? to see people chasing pieces of broken glass in the form of sense gratification and economic development, and neglecting the great gem, the transcendental gem of the holy name of Krishna. So this is a Vaishnava. This is the example shown to the world by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti-Vinod Thakur. Bhakti-Vinod Thakur was a great preacher. He wasn't just an administrator for the British, but he had 500 Bhakti-vriksha groups under him, Nam Bhaktas, 500. And he would stay up all night writing Gita-vali, Sharanagati, Gita-mala, Jaiva Dharma, so many amazing transcendental literatures he produced. For what? For the benefit of human society, to wake them up to the reality of spiritual life. But this is a Vaishnava. So if we're actually servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada writes, we must seriously distribute this movement all over the world to render the greatest benefit to human society. And this is the greatest benefit. Distributing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of this transcendental literature, the holy name, building temples. This is the greatest contribution. Don't be confused. It is the greatest contribution. People think distributing food, opening a hospital, distributing medicine or clothes or netra jagya. They say this is the greatest thing. It is not. If I open a hospital, most modern technology, most expensive machines, most highly educated doctors with the most advanced understanding of human anatomy, most advanced medicine, how can they stop death? Can a hospital stop death? Impossible. Can food stop hunger? Can medicine stop disease? Can clothing stop cold? None of these things are actually in the ultimate issue are not valuable. We use them. Hospital is useful. We'll all need a hospital someday. But in the ultimate issue, a hospital cannot help you at the time of death. It can't stop your death. What can stop death? What can stop disease? What can stop hunger, war, pestilence? What can stop all of these things? The distribution of Krishna consciousness as it's being described here by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The distribution of the tasty fruit of the tree of love of God. And we're part of the branches. Hello. This is our amazing thing about our life. We're part of that tree. As followers of Srila Prabhupada, we're part of that tree. So this is our duty to seriously distribute this movement all over the world. And this is the greatest benefit for human society. Text 41, very famous verse. Prabhupada would quote this regularly. Bharata bhumite manusya hoila janmajar janma sarta kare para paropakar. When he was taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharat should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all of the people. Bharat is a special place. India is the name given by the Mleches, actually. Historically, this tract of land is known as Bharat Varsh. It's glorified in Shastra, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, describes the glories of a birth in Bharat. That just to be born here, one has to have accumulated sufficient sukriti, purva punya. One has to accumulate a sufficient sukriti just to be born in this country. So, why is that? Because Lord himself comes to this country. Lord himself comes to Bharat. Rama comes. Krishna comes. Buddha comes. Parashuram comes. All avatars come to this tract of land, sacred tract of land. Ganga is here. Ganga cha jamuni chaiva godavari saraswati namare sindhu kavari jalismin sanitim kur. All sacred rivers are here. Haridwar, Rameshwaram, Jagannath Puri, Gaya, Banaras, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Mayapur, all here in Bharat. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke this verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was requesting Indians to take up this Janma Sartakara, make your life perfect, and do Paropakar. What is Paropakar? Distributing the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. Just note the contribution of one person from India, Srila Prabhupada, changed the history of the world. Okay, we're running out of time. There's still a lot to go. We're only like 6:42. Anyone has any question? You want to continue with the shlokas?
Yeah, please. Prabhuji, please continue up to 8:30, Prabhuji. No issue. Up to 8:30, please
okay.
continue.
Okay, then Lord Chaitanya quoted a famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Etarvach Janmasapayam, Dehinami Hidehishu, Prana Artadiyavacha Shreya Acharanam Sada. That one, it is a duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. This is the mentality of a Vaishnava, to sacrifice for other people. Typically, people accumulate wealth. Why? So they can have very expensive car, expensive home, jewelry, prestige, nice food. All those things are so meaningless, ultimately. What is meaningful? If you want to make money, make lakhs and crores of rupees or dollars, but use that money for the benefit of society. See what our Ambarish Prabhu is doing. This beautiful, extraordinary temple, largest Hindu temple on the planet, is being constructed with what? With money. We want money. We're not afraid of money because we know what to do with it. So prana artar. Artar means money. Prana, your life, your intelligence, your words. Shreya acharanam sada. Do something for the welfare of human society. This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this verse is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam and mentioned here in Chaitanya Charitamrta. But Chaitanya said, I am merely, text 44, I am merely a gardener. I have neither kingdom nor any very, very great riches. I simply have some fruits and flowers that I wish to utilize to achieve piety in my life. So who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's Bhagavan. He is the Supreme Person. Sadai Svarja Purno. He's the Supreme Personality of God, the possessor of all opulence. But he's saying, I just have these fruits and flowers. This is the most valuable thing. What are those fruits and flowers? Love of God. And he wants to distribute it. And he's asking us to help him. Prabhupada writes in the purport that one need not be rich to benefit human society. Important understanding. Money can't really solve the problems of life. Money used in Krishna's service is very powerful. But money, for money's sake, is useless. What can it do for you? Money is always a problem, unless it's used for Krishna. If you have money, then you think, how will I keep it? The government wants to take it. My family wants to take it. The thieves want to take it. And you're always anxiety about your money. The stock market went up. The stock market went down. The interest rate did this, blah, blah, blah. And you're in anxiety about your money. Or if you don't have money, that's also a big anxiety. You can't pay your bills. You can't pay your electric bill, water bill, rental bill, mortgage bill, tax bill, food bill. Your bills pile up and you get, some people leave that they commit suicide because they're so harassed by not having money. So what is the solution? The solution is to use whatever we get in Krishna's service. And Krishna says, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashi. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. Krishna takes personal care for his devotee. And he'll carry what you lack and preserve what you have. Ananyas chintayantu mam, yejana paryupasitesham nityabhiyuktanam yogam shemvam maham yaham. Krishna gives his personal guarantee, mahami aham, that I will personally carry what you lack. There's a beautiful story about this. No time to speak in detail, but Krishna personally brought food to his devotee who crossed out this verse from Bhagavad. No, this isn't true. And Krishna came as a beautiful boy with cross marks on his back and delivered food to this Brahmin, proving the truth of his statement, Bahamyaham, I personally carry what you lack. So for a devotee, there's no lack. And if a person has money, then that can be used in Krishna's service. And if you don't have money, no worries. Krishna will provide your needs of life according to your need, but not according to your greed. So money is a problem unless we use it for Krishna. Text 47, it is the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the benevolent activities of the Sankirtan movement, which was inaugurated 500 years ago in Navadvip, be spread all over the world for the benefit of all human beings. Unfortunately, this is a very powerful purport. Unfortunately, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are satisfied simply to construct a temple, make a show of the deities, collect some funds, and utilize them for eating and sleeping. There is no question of their preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. But even though they are unable to do so, if anyone else does it, they become envious. This is a condition of the modern followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The age of Kali is so strong that it affects even the so-called followers of Lord Chaitanya. At least the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come out of India to preach his cult all over the world. For this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The followers of Lord Chaitanya must execute his will with heart and soul, being more tolerant than the trees and humbler than the straw in the street. This is so important because there's a class of devotee, without meaning to criticize any specific individual or institution. They're satisfied, as Prabhupada says here, to make a show of the deity, get some money, buy some rice and dal and sabji and have a comfortable life. Try and meditate on the sacrifice Srila Prabhupada undertook. He put his life on the line with a heart condition, almost leaving his body, heart attack twice on the boat, once again in New York City. Just to fulfill the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should have that determination shown to the world by Srila Prabhupada. Not be satisfied with a temple, with a few followers, praising you, collecting dakshina, buying food, buying cloth, living comfortable life. This isn't what it means to be a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should be prepared to sacrifice our life in the fire of sankirtan yajna. So enough said about that. This is a whole discussion actually about what it means to be a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who is executing his will and who is not. Because who was it? Who is the person who distributed the holy name all over the world? Only Srila Prabhupada. No one else did what Prabhupada, or accomplished what Prabhupada accomplished. And still there's a class of person, they object to the use of our title for Srila Prabhupada as Srila Prabhupada. They say only Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. He's the only Prabhupada. This is stupid. It's envious. Prabhupada is a title. We can say Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's a title that applies to a devotee who does extraordinary work for the mission of the Sampradaya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And who did more for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than Srila Prabhupada? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur never even left India. Madhacharya never left India. Ramanujacharya never left India. Is it inappropriate to call this devotee, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, to call him Prabhupada? It's more appropriate than any other person. Most appropriate. But still they object. This is just envy. And Prabhupada mentions that they can't do it. This says that preaching the call of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world, but even though they are unable to do so, if anyone else does it, they become envious. This is the condition of the modern followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So sad. The world should acknowledge. We say, Ebe jas gushukti bhuvana. We want to spread the glories, the yash, the fame of Srila Prabhupada all over the world. We sing this every day. Ebe jas gushukti bhuvana. let the glories of Srila Prabhupada be announced and spread all over the 3 worlds. So we should understand this very carefully and count our blessings to be cooperating with this extraordinary devotee, unique devotee that took the holy name of Krishna and spread it to every town and village. The Africans are here in Mayapur chanting, the Chinese, the Americans, the Italians, the Europeans, the Australians, the Mexicans, the Canadians are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because of Srila Prabhupada and no one else. We shouldn't misunderstand this point at all. If you didn't notice, this is a hot topic for me. Take note, don't misunderstand this point, and don't let anyone criticize. Don't stand to hear any criticism of Srila Prabhupada, that why he's being called Prabhupada. Because more than any other person, he deserves it. Text 50, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great gardener, sees that the people are chanting, dancing, laughing, and that some of them are rolling on the floor and some are making loud humming sounds, he smiles with great pleasure. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Some very, very beautiful. Sometime when you have time, spend some time in these last few verses in this chapter, from about 40, text 40 on. This is another beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. This attitude of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very important for persons engaged in the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada is speaking directly to us. This is the wonderful thing about Chaitanya Charitamrta. And Prabhupada's purports are so personal. He's addressing his followers personally. So he writes, this attitude of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very important for persons engaged in the Hare Krishna mantra of Krishna consciousness. In every center of our institution, ISKCON, we have arranged for a love feast every Sunday. And when we actually see people come to our center, chant, dance, take prasadam, become jubilant, and purchase books, we know that certainly Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always present in such transcendental activities, and he is very pleased and satisfied. Therefore, the members of ISKCON must increase this movement more and more, according to the principles that we are presently trying to execute. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thus being pleased, will smilingly glance upon them, bestowing his favor, and the movement will be successful. So if we want to please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what do? We distribute prasadam, distribute books, encourage people to chant, to dance. This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we participate in it, and we push it forward, Lord Chaitanya becomes pleased with us as individuals and pleased with the society. Text 51, one Prabhupada's purport. One should not artificially imitate the stage, talking about the ecstatic emotions of Krishna Bhakti that manifest in course of time. But if one is serious and sincerely follows the regulative principles and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, the time will come when these symptoms will appear. Tears will fill his eyes. He will be unable to chant the Mahamantra distinctly, and his heart will throb in ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one should not imitate this, but the devotee should long for the day to come when such symptoms of trance will automatically appear in his body. We say, Nayanam Galada Shudaraya, Madanam Gadgadarudaya Gira Pulakarani Chitam Vapukada, Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati. Bhavishyati means in the future. Devotees praying, when will these things? We should be begging the holy name. When will that day come when my heart becomes free from the shackle, the steel shackle that covers my heart, that covers my love of God? When will that blessed day come? When tears come to my eyes, when my voice chokes up, when the hairs of my body stand on end, when will that day come? Bhavishyati. We should know that day will come, but we have to wait for it by the sincere execution of sadhana. Sadhana is the process to get it. By sincere execution of sadhana, by prayer, by begging. We should be beggars for the holy name. Not complacent. You can practice complacent Krishna Bhakti for lifetimes and never get Krishna Bhakti. But we should beg When will I get your mercy? When will that day come when I have feeling for you? When will that day come when I have love for you? And if we're not begging like that, we're not chanting Hare Krishna. Our mouth is making some noise and we're pulling beads down. Okay, God, I'm done. I did my 16 rounds, butts. But we should be begging, internally crying for the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one last comment, text 53, Prabhupada writes in one purport, one who joins with an ulterior motive, in other words, someone who joins ISKCON with an ulterior motive to get material benefit or personal gratification will never be able to grasp the philosophy of this movement. So if we want to be real devotees in ISKCON, genuine devotees, we have to give up any other, this anyabhilashita shunyam, jnana karma dhyanavitam anukunyana krishnana shivanam bhakti. Uttam bhakti means. And we come to ISKCON to serve, not to be served. We come to this to give benefit, not to reap benefit, not for personal gratification, but to give gratification, pleasure to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By what? We just read. By pushing on Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya becomes pleased and he sprinkles his mercy on all the participants. This should be our only aim. And then we can honestly feel that I'm connected to this tree, this amazing tree of devotional service. Lord Chaitanya is the trunk and all the branches are his eternal associates. We're very, very fortunate to be connected with Srila Prabhupada, who's a branch of this Chaitanya tree, and we should take advantage by making this the objective of our life. Thank you very much for your participation. Does anyone have any question or comment?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This is one of the best lecture I've ever had, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And this time is very auspicious, and lecture is very, very auspicious. Chapter is also nice, and you beautifully enumerated, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when you are going to IIT Kanpur, so your lecture will be telecast in Zoom, Prabhuji. If it is possible, you can share the link so that we can also pass on in our group. We can hear your lecture from Kanpur, IIT Kanpur, Prabhuji. Is it possible,
I don't
Prabhuji?
know if they broadcast. I'm trying to remember whether they do or not. I was there once before. Back in August, I was there last year in August. But if there's a link, certainly I'm happy to share with you. They're amazing,
Yes,
they're amazing devotees. They're very
yes,
nice.
Prabhuji. And one more information, Prabhuji, from IIT Kanpur. Previously, 6 months back, there was one professor called Dr. Leela Purushottam Das. Now
He's in charge there.
IIT Mandi. Yeah, now he is IIT Mandi director. So earlier he was a professor of IIT Kanpur. So I'm in touch with him also. So
where
he
is he
managed
now?
all this. IIT Mandi, he's the director. He's the head of IIT Mandi. Mandi is near to Simla, Prabhuji. IIT Mandi.
Of all the IITs?
No, Mandi is a place near Simla, Himachal Pradesh. He is now the head of IIT Mandi.
Okay.
So Dr. Leela Purushottam Das. So he has been transferred there.
I stayed in his apartment when I was there, but he was out of station, so I missed meeting him. I heard so many amazing things about him.
Yes, Prabhuji. So IIT Kanpur is a very beautiful environment, like IIT Delhi also. In IIT Delhi, there is Dr. Suresh Bhalla is there. If you know him, I forget his initiated name. He's a disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. But IIT Kanpur, he made it very, very conducive towards Bhakti, Prabhuji. So if possible, when you give the class, Prabhuji, Zoom link, please send us so that we also, attend your class, Prabhuji. And today's class is amazing, Prabhuji. Amazing.
Yeah, there's peacocks. There's peacocks running all over the campus, IIT campus in Kanpur.
Haribol.
Oh, okay.
You hear them? Ah, ah. Any questions? Are we done?
Yeah, Mr. Babu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have some questions. If anybody else has questions, I want to give them some time because I have 3 questions, so I don't want to take all the time.
No, please go ahead. Mr. Babu, please go ahead.
Yes. My first question, Prabhu, is that so you mentioned, first of all, thank you so much for the inspiring lecture, Prabhu. And So you mentioned one point that birth in India is very rare. And so I read one of the books of Prabhupada. It's called Renunciation Through Wisdom, where Prabhupada mentions one statement that there are 4 lakh species of human beings. And after transmigrating through 4 lakh species of human beings in the 84 million species, at last, in the end, you will get birth in India. That is the final evolution of all the species. And even after getting that birth, if you waste that human life, then what can be said about, you're so unfortunate. Like the Prabhupada writes one line in that book. So I wanted to understand, you have some references for this particular point, Prabhu, in any of the books that you have read, Prabhupada's books about birth in India is so important and rare.
You have the Bhagavatam set?
Yes, Prabhu, I have the Bhagavatam.
Okay, look in 5th canto, 19th chapter.
5th canto, 19th chapter. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes,
So
yes.
I will read
Yes,
about
it
it.
is.
Thank you so much. And my second question is about, you mentioned Yogakshemam Vahamyaham, about pastimes of Krishna personally coming and taking care of devotee, like bringing food for the devotee. I remember one pastime of Arjunacharya where Krishna and Balaram bring groceries for Arjunacharya. So I'm just curious, you can relate to any other pastimes that you can recollect related to this?
I'll tell you something.
Yogakshemam.
In modern ISKCON history, the
Sure,
devotees were
Prabhu.
in San Francisco,
Hmm.
and Shyam Sundar and Malati were walking to the temple, and they were thinking, this is the last, we have to move out. We can't pay the rent. They're going to throw us out. This is the last day. We don't have money. What to do? So they're walking to the temple early in the morning, and blowing down the sidewalk are $100 bills. And they just picked up the $100 bills from the sidewalk, catching them as they're blowing it.
Oh my God.
Paid their rent. True story.
Oh, this happened in Shamasundar and Mal. Is this in New York, 26th
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay. Oh, very nice, Prabhu.
They opened their first temple in San Francisco.
So, Prabhu, where can we read about this reference? Like, is there any book of Prabhupada, like it is mentioned, or is it? It's just the conversations.
There's a wonderful series called the Memories series, where my grandbrother Siddhanta Prabhu interviews all Prabhupada disciples, and they tell their own personal realizations and experiences with Srila Prabhupada. It's from there. Yes,
Prabhu, I go through that. It's a wonderful YouTube series, actually, Prabhupada Memories. I go through that, actually. I like them a lot. Thank you, Prabhu. So I'll go to my third question. You mentioned about Jiva Dharma book, actually, of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So I want to understand whether it is recommended for a person who is in 3 to 4 years in Krishna consciousness. Will he be able to understand that book, Jiva Dharma?
Jiva Dharma is a very esoteric book. I'll give you a story. In the old days, when the devotees were publishing Bhakti Guided magazine, they asked Srila Prabhupada, what about the gopis? This is the most esoteric understanding of our Krishna consciousness movement, Krishna's relationship with the gopis. So is it meant for public distribution? How do we present the gopis in Bhakti Godhead? Prabhupada said very carefully, they said, but don't boycott the gopis. So we should be aware of the philosophical understanding as presented by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, different rasas and relationships with Krishna. But we shouldn't think that because I read the book, I'm there. Any more than a person who reads a book about anatomy can claim to be a doctor. You understand? If I read Gray's Anatomy and then I start claiming, now I'm a doctor, you're a fool, and you'll get thrown in jail for malpractice. So if someone reads esoteric books, Ujjala Nilamani, Gita Govinda, Krishna Caritamrta, Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhi, very esoteric books written by our acharyas that are there to be read, but unless one is free from the bodily conception of life, you won't be able to understand it completely. It will appear to be the mundane relationship between man and woman. Bhagavad Gita says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakamshati Samasaveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Bhakti begins from Brahma Bhuta stage, when you're completely free from the bodily conception of life. And if you're not, these leelas will appear mundane to you. So Brahmabhuta is high stage. Nasochate dakangshate. You have no material desire. You have no lamentation. Prasannatma. You're always happy. You're not disturbed by anything. Samasarveshu bhuteshu. You see every living being equally. The whole world is your friend. No one's your enemy. You're happy all the time. This is a high stage. And spiritual life, mad bhakti, Krishna says, mad bhakti, my bhakti, labhate param, is attained from this stage. So devotees that haven't even come to Brahmabhuta stage, we hear them sometimes talking about very, very high topics, Manjari Bhava and Gopi Bhava, Radhakund, but they're still infested with material desires. This is cheating. So we should know something. Jaiva Dharma was written for our benefit. Read it, but read it carefully under the guidance of someone who understands it better than you do. That's my advice.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. The reason I asked this question is, I remember Bhaktivinoda Thakur in 1896, he sent a book to one library in Canada. So I think it's the same. Yeah. So it's the same book, right? It's the same book.
No. He sent a book called Sri Chaitanya, His Life and Precepts.
Oh, okay.
He didn't send Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma is a very esoteric book. And it's written in the format of devotees speaking to one another, gurus speaking with their disciples. And they're talking about one's eternal relationship with Krishna, Siddhadeha, and different types of rasa with Krishna, and very high topics, actually. So you can read it, but it's not a beginner's book, I'll say that.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. Really grateful.
I'm happy.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like Prabhupada has said that first we should read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, I can.
Prabhupada said that, first we should read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, at the last, at the PhD level is, CC, Chaitanya Charitamrta. So, Prabhuji, I was reading C.
Yeah, I just lost you, Prabhuji.
It is my calculation, Prabhuji. Just correct me if I'm wrong. When I read CC, so I think that one should read CC first, Prabhuji, and then Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Bhagavad Gita. Because if you read CC, it includes everything. It has a reference of all the Srimad Bhagavatam sloks and Bhagavad Gita sloks. And when I read CC, I think that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is keeping condition, and in CC, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not keeping any conditions, so it is bypassing, Bhagavad Gita too. It's that way. I'm just thinking like that, Prabhuji. So one can start reading CC first and then go to Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita later, Prabhuji, or we have to follow the process, like this.
One should understand the beginning principles of Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, think for a moment. Let's say you're, a citizen on the street. A devotee approaches you and he sells you a set of Chaitanya Charitamritas. Certainly you'll understand something of it, but if you don't understand the basics, the beginning, the foundation, what will be the depth of your understanding of Chaitanya Charitamrita? I would suggest wouldn't be very deep. So at least one should have some realization of what Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita. Same with Bhagavatam. We begin Bhagavatam with first canto. We don't jump to 10th canto. You jump over first canto, you'll think these are just some mythology, some stories of boys and girls. And in Lila, this is the thing. There's Tattva Vichar and there's Lila Vichar. Tattva Vichar means Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God and He's the Supreme Lord. And Lila Vichar means he's being chased by his mother because he's been bad. Can this be understood by the public? What will they think? If we say, actually, God was stealing from his mother, she became angry and she was chasing him with a stick. or that Krishna is eating off the plate of his gopas, the gopas. This is lila, becomes tasty, becomes relishable when we understand tattva vichar, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he makes himself completely available to his devotees. So to actually understand, to actually relish, we should have some backing, some background in tattva vichar, to understand who is Krishna. And then when we understand that Krishna comes again, then he said, Sarva-dhamam parityaja, you surrender to me, mamekam sharanam. No nonsense, surrender to me. If we understand that, and then that he comes again to make that principle Adi-lila, magnanimous lila. Surrender means sing, dance, take prasadam. It becomes so much more relishable. So Prabhupada said, I'm a quote Prabhupada, you know, read Bhagavad Gita, ABCs, graduate study, Bhagavatam, postgraduate study, Chaitanya Charitamrta. Because many leelas in Chaitanya Charitamrita are very easy to understand, basically. Others are not easy. Fourth chapter, Adi-lila, 8th chapter, Madhya-lila, 20th chapter, Anti-lila. Very esoteric understanding. What will you understand of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's foaming at the mouth? His body limbs are shrunken into his body. His teeth are ready to break, chanting jaga, 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 gaga, jaga, gaga. Blood oozing from his body, smearing his face, rubbing his face on the walls of Gambhira till it bleeds. Why Govinda Virahena me? What can we understand of that without really understanding Bhagavad Gita? We can read it, but if you want to get vijnana, realization that melts your heart, better to have some background in tattva vichar, the basics of Krishna consciousness. So as you say, there's many verses from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam contained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But there's many esoteric, Govinda Lila Amrita, Krishna Karnamrita, Gita Govinda. Many esoteric things are also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you will not understand those unless you have a basis, a foundation in Krishna Bhakti. So I repeat the instructions of Prabhupada. You read Bhagavad Gita, understand the basic, Krishna is God. You know, this is the conclusion. The conclusion is, in 18th chapter, Krishna is God, you should surrender, go back to him, become his manmana bhava madbhakto, become his devotee. Then Bhagavatam explains the whole Leela of Lord with Prahlad, Leela with Dhruva, with all Ajamya Leela, all different beautiful Leelas of the Lord. But essence we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if there was a great flood and all the books of the world were destroyed, if there was just Chaitanya Charitamrita left, there would be no loss. It was his favorite book. It was Prabhupada's favorite book. So very, very relishable. But to really dive deep and get vijnana, realization, for your heart to melt in love of God, you should have a solid background in Siddhanta also, Tattva Vichara. Is that helpful to you, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, what I could get, what you said is that, or what I could infer is that if I directly go into, CC, I can become a Sahajiya type. That, if I don't read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, directly jump into, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
No, we should understand what a Sahajiya is. Devotees throw this term around and not understanding what it is. Sahajiya is someone who thinks that mundane rasa, if I'm having sex with a woman, I'm experiencing highest rasa, Radha Krishna Leela. This is Sahajiya. They're taking this mundane rasa to be spiritual rasa. This is Sahajiya. And Sahaj means they take it easy. They say the natural way, Sahaj. So Sahajiya means someone who takes everything very cheaply. So I'm not saying you're becoming Sahajiya, but we should, all I'm saying, and I'm just repeating what Prabhupada said, and we should have a solid foundation in Tattva. Tattva means an understanding Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasaika nishvasita kalamata avalamya jivanti loma vilaja jaganandanata Vishnur mahansa yahasya kala vishesho govind. These verses in Brahma Samhita, he's God. a portion of his portion are emanating universes. But what's he doing? He's being chased by Mother Yashoda. He's playing with gopas. He's dancing with gopis. This should be understood carefully. Otherwise people just they criticize Krishna. This Vastraharana Lila. Oh, Krishna is so lusty, such a lusty boy. He stole the gopis' clothes, the young girls' clothes, so he could see them naked. Is this proper understanding? No. Who are the gopis? Ananda Chinmayasa Rasa Prasapabhitabi Tabir La Eja Nija Rupataya Kalabi. The Krishna's own form, Nija Rupa. It's his own form. It's his Ladini Shakti. It's like you can say he's playing with his own creation. And who is naked? We're all naked in front of Krishna. Whenever you're naked, you're naked in front of Krishna. What doesn't he see? We should have tattva vichar before we want to judge Krishna and misunderstand his lila. Same thing in Ram Lila. When Rama's banishing Sita to the forest, people criticize Ram. What kind of husband was he? Pregnant wife with twins? And he sent her to the forest, he sent her away, he banished her. What kind of husband? We should understand tattva before we jump to Lila. Otherwise, one may criticize the Lord. What is the answer? That the highest expression of love of God is in deep pralamba. Can Lakshmi ever be separated from Narayan? Impossible. They're closer in deep pralamba in separation than they are in sambhog. And this is the understanding by tattva. So if one reads Leela, he'll have many misunderstandings without an understanding, in-depth understanding of tattva that we get from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Prabhu. I got it, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one more information in our group. Mataji Kakundas, my wife, she has been initiated as Leela Mohini Devi Dasi very recently on 19th February by Bhakti-vriksha.
Congratulations, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Leela Mohini Mataji ki jai.
Leela Mohini Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have one question. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, my question is that why is Chaitanya Charitamrta considered the highest among all the scriptures? What is the essence that we get from Chaitanya Charitamrta which is not present in other scriptures?
Prabhupada didn't call it the highest, he called it postgraduate study. Postgraduate study because one has to understand that Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. That the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna Surup. He is Krishna himself. He's not an avatar of Krishna, he's Krishna himself. But why did he come? Why did Shyam Sundar become Gaur Sundar? This is an esoteric understanding. It's not an ABC understanding. Dehi no sminyata, dehi komaram jovanam jara. You're not your body. ABC, any non-devotee even can grasp the concept of being not your body. But who is it that can understand, who can deeply understand the manifestation of Shyam Sundar, who came as Gaur Sundar, with the bhava, the duty of Srimati Radhika? Who can understand who is Srimati Radharani, for that matter? These things, even Bhagavatam only mentions Srimati Radharani in a secret way. Araditam nunam. That who is that gopi who has served Krishna more than any other gopi? It doesn't mention her exactly by name. But we get so much information in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Srimati Radharani and Krishna and how Radha Krishna Pranaya Prakriti Hladini Shakti Rasma Adhikatmanavapi Bhuvi Paradeha Vedam Kutoto Chaitanyakam Prakata Madanam Taddayam Chakyamaptam Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. This verse begins, Chaitanya Charitamrita begins with this verse, that Radha and Krishna are the eternal absolute truth, and they're eternally separated. Yet they become one in the personality of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ekatmana vapi bhuvi. They become one. Ekatmana vapi. Paradeham. For the purpose of Leela, to distribute Krishna consciousness and to taste Krishna consciousness. So this is not an ordinary understanding. We don't find this in Bhagavatam. We don't find it in Bhagavad Gita, especially. In Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads, we find philosophy, tattva, that help us to understand who is Srimati Radharani, who is Lord Krishna. Arjuna is telling who is Krishna. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitam Paramam Bhavan. Many verses are there. Krishna is explaining Matak Paratanam Nyanyat, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Many verses are there explaining who is Krishna. But to understand the internal desire of Krishna, how he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste Radha Baba. This is a very high understanding, Mataji. It's not available in any other scripture. So I give you some idea.
And rest is Disha Mataji, a one-line learning or any query you want to do, you want to make. So please ask, or if you want to give any comment, so you can do that. So you are left only. Disha Mataji, my only one daughter.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your very nice discourse. Actually, I am not so much eligible to comment on Prabhu's lecture, but it was really very, very nice. Prabhu, thank you for delivering such a nice class.
What you have learned, one line, just say one line or two lines. What you have learned from today's class? One line.
Vishnu Prabhu, please help me.
You can say about how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees.
Yes, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became a tree himself, a gardener himself, and he distributes the fruits. He is telling that, yes, I cannot handle alone, so please come and distribute fruits on behalf of me. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh, amara agday guru hoiya taro ei desh. Bharat bhumite manusya janmo hoilo jar, janmo sarthak kori karo paropokar. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Once more, Prabhuji. Sarva-drik Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And if you have the link, if you get the link, Zoom link from IIT Kanpur, so please send us. So we forward to our group, and we also heard that. And today's lecture is amazing, Prabhuji. Honestly speaking, one of the best lecture I have ever had, Prabhuji.
Okay, I'm glad you're happy. I did my job if you're happy.
No, yes. And although you are an American, but the way you speak, because a lot of times you spent in India, different parts of India, so your accent has become neutralized, like Indian accent. So that's why it's very easy for us to understand, Prabhuji. Really speaking.
I'm working on that.
Really, and IIT Kanpur is very favorite because I wanted my daughter should study there, higher studies, although he shifted her track. So although she has done chemistry honors, graduation is chemistry honors, so she should have done post-graduation, but somehow she is appearing for UPSC examination. And UPSC examination in India is such an examination where all top government posts are filled up, like IAS, IFS, IPS, all these. So that through it, she can serve Srila Prabhupada mission. Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was deputy magistrate, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So I told my daughter in that way, Prabhuji. So please bless her also, though her exam is very nearby. So in this forum, Vishnu Prabhu helps the technical part, and my daughter helps before class, she plays all kirtan and all these things. And Sankaran Prabhu also, Sankar Prabhu, he is a very great devotee. He joins from Faridabad. He is also disciple of Bhakti-vriksha Swami Maharaj, Prabhuji.
Shankar Prabhu. I was there when they opened that temple. The temple inauguration, I was there. Amazing.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Faridabad temple, Prabhu, you are talking of Faridabad temple?
Yeah, Faridabad.
Okay. Yes.
It was a year ago, about a year and a half ago, they opened that temple.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes.
October.
Gopeshwar Prabhuji is the temple president there. Gopeshwar Prabhuji.
Yes, that was such a wonderful devotee.
Yes, absolutely. He's a disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj.
Yes, he's ideal devotee actually.
Yes, Prabhuji. So
his wife is no less. She's also a great devotee.
Yes, Prabhuji. Ganga Mataji. Yeah, Ganga Mata. Yes, actually, I used to stay there, Prabhuji, in Faridabad, and I learned a little bit from this temple, Radha Govind temple, and from Istap Kailash temple, that Delhi temple. So both the temples I was associated, and after that I moved here, Prabhuji. So thank you once more, Prabhuji. So we close it. Now it is 9 p.m. So we say 3 times Haribol to Prabhuji, and we wish Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai and Sarva-drik Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sarva-drik Prabhu ki jai.